Well, welcome back to From Corporate to Cashflow. We are Andrea Cannon and Liz Schwab, two pharmacists navigating the process of building time and financial freedom through real estate investing and lending while working our day jobs. Navigating the journey is difficult, but our podcast guests are experts in showing us how it's done. And we are super excited today to have our guest, Jon Chan. Just as a side note, Liz is off today, but super excited to have our guest here, Jon Chan. He has gone through the journey that we are kind of looking to go through ourselves. So thank you so much, Jon, for joining us. We're really excited to have you here.
I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, so we would love to hear more about your journey. And I know it's kind of been a little bit of a back and forth. First, there was rentals, now there's private lending. I want to kind of hear how you arrived where you are today and what made you kind of make those moves.
Sure. So my journey kind of started back in 2019 when I started managing properties for my dad. I really had no idea what to do, what to expect, or even how to run numbers. But I just wanted to get involved in real estate, and I figured this would be the best way, is just getting into it. So I was doing everything from like changing locks to communicating with tenants and finding what's called lease agreements and making adjustments here and there. But then 2020 hit and COVID, and I remember sitting across from my wife at the breakfast table that we had turned into a big office. Just kind of worried about what could happen in the future. She was pregnant with our second child. So I want to make sure that if anything would happen to either one of us, the other one would not have to suffer and struggle and all that. So looked for a different way, learned how to run numbers on rental properties, and realized that cash flow, I mean, unless you have a house paid off, it's not going to change your life in any way. So then I went on YouTube and just said how to scale in real estate, and then found out, okay, well, it's the tax benefits, it's the appreciation, principal pay down, and leverage that you can take advantage of. So basically went all in. I had heard on the internet that you could take money out of your retirement account to penalty free, you still pay the taxes. So without thinking, I just called ADP for myself, and I called ADP for my wife, said, I'm going through a struggle right now. Can we just pull out like $100,000 from each side? And while that money was getting sent to me, looked into different ways to invest and kind of landed on the BRRRR method. And not really wanting to do anything slow, being very impatient, decided to buy 4 houses at the same time and just do them all at once, because why not? Luckily, one of them dropped off, but then I still had 3 and just did it. And again, like I didn't do anything special. I just got really lucky in that I ignored all the people that said don't buy real estate right now, because at that time you could buy anything and it would appreciate 10% by the time you were done. So it made doing the BRRRR method pretty easy. Scaled that to about 30 doors, and realized that I did not want to keep owning property in this way. It also helped that my mom wanted to retire, and I did not want to turn her into a landlord. So I moved all of her money into what's called a self-directed retirement account, looked for a different way for her, turned her into a lender, and then saw all the money she was making for herself. So I should be doing this for myself as well. So I just kind of went down that path.
That's awesome. And I love how you involved your mom in that. And you kind of got started with your dad in the real estate side as well. I mean, that's really cool. It sounds like it was almost a family affair.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was still a struggle. I mean, my mom didn't really, she just kind of trusted me, which I think is nice. My dad still had his stipulations or not stipulations, but he was still kind of skeptical of me, just watching me grow up and all this stuff that being the dumb kid that I was. But yeah, like very lucky that I was able to take advantage of the situation that I'm in.
Yeah. And so tell me, were you working another job, a corporate job kind of around that same time, or were you just doing, you started in the property management thing, and was that your original job before kind of owning the properties yourself? Give me a little bit about that backstory.
Sure. So went to school for accounting, got a CPA because I heard you make more money, worked my way up the corporate ladder, decided I didn't like internal accounting because I wanted to make more money. So I went to consulting, which is more demanding. You have specific hours, milestones you have to hit every single month. So at the time when I was doing that, I was basically managing properties on the weekends and nights, and then doing doing my regular day job along with taking care of my wife, kids, or the kids with my wife, right? And then my second was born middle of 2020, and then it was like perfect time. Like I have so much free time, I should just go out and start investing in real estate. So it was basically take care of the kids with my wife, and then either at night or during my lunch break, just get stuff done pretty much. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's like working on your own goals outside of those work hours. We do a lot of that right now ourselves. It's like what do they call it? You have your 9 to 5 and then you have your 5 to 9 or whatever. And that's kind of like how I've looked at it, because I do a lot of my investment journey outside of the work hours too. And it makes for some long days sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you're working 12, 14 hours a day, but then for whatever reason, even though you're tired and like falling asleep analyzing properties, you still keep going because you know there's like it's going to pay off in the end.
Absolutely. And so what was the big thing that made you end up leaving your accounting job?
I think it was stress and just like the situation. I never really talk about this, but I wasn't really enjoying the way that it was being run. So decided that yes, it's going to be hard and I'll figure it out. But if I just leave now, I can focus 100% of my efforts onto this and see where it goes, at least give myself a chance. I wouldn't recommend doing it the way that I did it, but it was, learning experience. I've changed so much in the past 9 months. I've learned a lot, and I don't think I would have gone back and changed anything.
That's awesome. And so it sounds like you said you learned a lot. So tell me, what's kind of been like the biggest lesson that you've learned or that you wish you knew earlier in your journey?
I think the biggest thing is when I first got started, I knew that I was new and I was going to make a lot of mistakes. So money wasn't an issue for me. I had a really good paying job and part ownership of a company that I could just funnel into real estate. And so that has just kind of been the mindset I've been in, is like, oh, you can take this money and you can funnel it in. You don't have to worry so much about whether you're making money or not, because in the end, you're going to be better with these properties than not. But at the same time, like when you're actually running a business, it's like an immature way to run a business. And so this time where I actually have money constraints and not being as liquid as I'm used to being, it has really changed my relationship with money and with business, understanding that, okay, well, I have to be a lot better. I have to be a lot better with the way I approach business. It's about making money. It's not about constantly pushing it off to the long-term gain. It's got to be short-term gain now, in addition to long-term gain.
Yeah, that's nice. And it sounds like that also makes you make, maybe smarter financial decisions as well, rather than maybe being, I don't want to say that you were sloppy, but I could see how one could be sloppy when you have this whole, kind of background of, I've got extra funds. If it doesn't go right, then like I can just funnel that, right? Like there's just a lot of, it's like a burn the boats mentality, but from a financial standpoint, right?
Yeah, and I've labeled it sloppy. It has been sloppy for sure.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think one of those, it sounds incredibly motivating, especially in the last, several months to a year that you've had. Tell me a little bit more about, do you still own rental properties, or have you entirely transitioned to doing more of the lending like you were seeing, with your mom? And how did that transition work, if you've made it, and what kind of have you learned from that so far?
Yeah, so I still have my rentals, but I'm in the process of selling them. It's been a lot slower than I wanted them to be. But one of the biggest things that I realize is, yes, if you have property management, it doesn't mean that your properties are being managed the way that you want them to be managed. You still have to be on top of them. There's still time and effort that goes into making sure that they're on top of everything that they need to be. In addition to that, like I did it like ADHD, right? I have properties in 5 different states, and the administrative nightmare of having, handful here, handful there, it makes it very challenging to manage everything and keep up with the state's laws and the reporting requirements and the different taxes that you have to pay. So to me, I think I guess I would change something, right? Investing in real estate, I looked at buying rentals as the only way to get into real estate, but that's not the only way. And if you want to get out of your W-2, you just find something that you like to do and you can monetize, and then use real estate as a way to preserve your wealth, not so much use the cash flow to get out of your day job. But yeah, the goal is to transition out of all my single family homes and just do lending full time. And then when I do go back into buying assets, I'm going to have in-house property management, and I'm going to do it in one market until I get tired of that market. Hopefully it's like 100 doors.
I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
so what are you doing now with lending specifically? Are you have anything, are you only doing lending in a certain state, certain market, certain type of loan? There's people out there that do EMD only. Like, what do you have going on?
Yeah, so I tried the EMD thing. It's great, like if you can make it work, because it's very secure. But I just kind of jumped into private money lending just because that's how I started with my mom. And I was doing more of the aggressive loans, just understanding that if anything would happen, I could just sell my properties and restore her money, right? But doing it nationwide, and again, the issue again is doing it nationwide and doing different types of loans. Some gap loans, which are like second position loans, some first position, some rehab, some portfolio loans. Like, doing all these different types of loans it makes it very difficult to be specialized and really good at one thing. So I've really transitioned and following someone that I really admire, who's only doing it in Georgia. I'm doing it in Virginia. I'm essentially copying and pasting his business model in Virginia, because I don't think he's ever lost money in the loan. That's like one of these types of loans. And he only does it in one state. So then it makes life a lot easier. There's more than enough deals to go around as long as you are marketing it properly and spending the time.
Yeah. What's been the biggest barrier so far? I know it's been probably a relatively new switch over to just Virginia, but has it been finding the money or finding the borrowers?
So right now it's been finding the money. Like borrowers, you just say I have money, and then they'll flock to you, right? I've had deals from all over the country, even though I say specifically only Virginia. They're sending me deals from Hawaii, Alaska, right? All these different places, which is fine, right? But finding the deals, I think, is easier when you say that you have the money. So finding the money, I think, is the more challenging thing, at least for me, because my personality is very like numbers based and analytical, which kind of rubs certain people the wrong way, because a lot of people, when they want to deploy their money, in my opinion, they want to feel they're emotional about it. They want to make sure that they're safe and all this. So yeah, I would say my biggest struggle has been raising the money and getting people to work with me, even though these are like 100% safe loans.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think the numbers thing is the number one thing, right? Because you want to make sure that your money is safe. And so I love that you're analytical about it. I know the first time I was thinking about doing private money lending, I talked to someone and I was like, oh, so how do you underwrite your deals? And they said, oh, well, there's these people and I've worked with them before, so I have a lot of trust. And I was like, that doesn't tell me how you underwrite your deals.
Yeah, I understand, like trust will work, right? But then that's on the more aggressive type of loans, but you still have to know your numbers.
Right. Yeah. And I would say we should maybe start with the numbers and then move to the trust.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. And so kind of how many loans are you trying to do at a time? It's, just the state of Virginia versus all 50 states. How much do you anticipate your portfolio being once it's, fully up and running, loan portfolio?
Yeah, so my goal is to have 20 million in loans in Virginia by the end of the year. And so I've done a calculation. It just average, if every loan is $200,000 or 200,000 some change, then I need 9 loans per month. So if they're all 6-month loans, we're looking at about 54 loans going on at the same time. So that's really the goal to hit by the end of the year.
That's such a cool goal. Oh my gosh, so exciting. And I love that you have it down. I figured you would have it all the way down to the numbers and by the month and everything. That's pretty awesome.
But it was one of those things where I had to get into it. Like before, it was I have a goal to pick up 30 doors, but I didn't really know how to work backwards. I actually had to use AI to help me do that, because I just have not. It's, for whatever reason, it's been a mental block. So use AI to help you with your mental blocks.
I love it. Now, thinking about, you made this transition from, being, an accountant. having rentals and now doing loans and having rentals, right? So when you don't have that like boss telling you what to do, it can be a little bit different how your days look. So kind of what habits, routines have you developed to stay productive and focused on these goals so you can hit these numbers of the loans per month you need and the 20 million by the end of the year?
Yeah, so that transition has been something that I don't know many people talk about, but it is kind of weird because you're going from, you having work given to you versus, okay, now I need to go find work. So for me, it was, all right, well, if I have 20 million in loans that I want to do, then how do I do outreach? So who can I reach out to in order to find these opportunities? And then on the other side, who do I reach out to raise the capital so that I can actually fund these loans? And so it just becomes like again, working backwards. If this is the end goal, well, then what tasks do I need to do in order to get to that goal? And then you break it down as detailed as you possibly can, and just leverage like AI to help you. Because you can essentially just talk to it, and then it'll tell you this is a good step, and you just say like, what's my next step? Like, what can I do? What should I do first? And I think that's the best way to approach it is if you just create a checklist of things that you need to do, then it becomes very easy. When you are lost, then you just go, okay, well, what I have not done that I need to do, and then you just go from there. And it's not going to be perfect; it's going to be far from perfect, but at least you're moving in the right direction, even if you're not taking the right action or the most efficient, making the most of your time. You're at least making that step towards getting there. Because that's one of the problems I had is, well, I want to go from 0 to 100 right now. What do I have to do? Like, I expect it to be like a flip the switch, but it's not. It's a transition.
No, that's awesome. And it's cool that you're leveraging AI. It's amazing what the capabilities of AI are. And I use it for a lot of things, but I don't think I've utilized it in that way. So it's a good reminder for everyone out there, if you're not utilizing ChatGPT and other cool AI capabilities to think about it, especially along your journey, if you have one similar to this. Yeah. I know you mentioned that you were kind of doing a copy and paste of someone else's thing from Atlanta, and I know you're talking about it's Abraham Gray, which is super cool because he is knowledgeable and amazing. Are you working with him on a regular basis, or is he just kind of giving you the systems and now you're implementing them?
Yeah, so we're working together. So again, my goal is to take exactly one of the things that I always tell newer people is find someone doing what is it you want to do in the market that you're doing, that you want to do it in, and then just bring them value. So to me, I'm kind of doing the same thing with him. He's been doing this for 8 years. He has a system in place, and it's not fancy. It's not like a bunch of tools. Well, I mean, it wasn't. It might be changing now, but it was just like a Google sheet tracking $10 million in loans. And so, yeah, I'm working with him to essentially, I want to raise money for his Atlanta deals so that when the Virginia deals come in, then we have a place for this money to go. But a short answer is yes, we're working with him and Alexis.
That's awesome. And you mentioned 200,000 is kind of the average loan size. Is that what what people need to be able to have in order to loan money with you or with Alexis and Abraham, or how does that work? Like, could you do more? Could you do less?
Yeah, so you can do less. I mean, there are certain platforms like I think what Alexis uses is called fractional, and you can, I think, put down as little as $10,000 or $20,000. There's another way that I've spoken to. Actually, one of the hard money lenders is actually going to be helping us fund some of these deals, and what they're doing is they're going to take, I don't know what the minimum is going to be, but they're going to take a bunch of their investors and put small amounts in, give them all voting rights, so it's like SEC compliant, right? But they're going to be under one LLC, and they're going to start funding it that way. So that's something that you could do with friends and family if you only want to put in $5,000, $10,000 at a time. A way to get around the syndication rules and regulations. But I'm not an attorney or any of that stuff. Don't take any of that advice from me. But look into it, and that could be a way to do it. But yeah, the short answer is no. You don't have to have $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. You can have as little as 10, as long as you're using the right platform and the right structure.
That's awesome, because I think when people hear private money lending, they instantly think, well, I'll do that in 10 years, 15 years, 30 years when I have, more money, right? When I've got my retirement saved up, when I'm doing, when I have my rentals that are cash flowing or whatever it is versus
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, again, yeah, you're completely right. When you think of lending, they think, oh, you have boatloads of money, just cash just sitting there. But that's not the case. Like you can lend with no money out of your own pocket as long as you're underwriting the deal, you're finding the right opportunity, and you're finding someone who likes and trusts you and yeah, was willing to give you access to the money and make money together. I mean, just like anything, it's about connections and network.
Absolutely. Um, if you could only give one piece of advice in 30 seconds to someone just starting their financial independence journey, what would it be?
Build active income. Don't go out and think that you're going to buy a bunch of rentals and use that to get out of your day job because there's a lot of headaches. I've had to replace floors for turnover. I think one cost me 25 grand to turn over. Another that same house cost me $5,000 because I had to rebuild the chimney. I have another house that is burned down. I finally got the fire report from the city, and this happened on February 3rd. Don't go into rental ownership thinking that that's going to get you out of your day job unless you have a bunch paid off. Build active income, and then use rental properties as a way to just build net worth and long term wealth.
I love that so much because I think everyone hits this point, I think, where you're like, wait a minute, that didn't go how I thought it was going to. Like,
Yeah.
I feel
Hopefully,
like you did that really quickly and you made the pivot so fast. I'm so impressed.
I appreciate that, but that's my problem. Right? I just find something and then I go full force into it, and then I probably could have done it after 10 or 15 doors, but waited to 30, and then now unloading everything. And I'm all about efficiency, and this is not the most efficient use of cash right now for me. So, yeah.
Well, I love it. I love it. And kind of getting closer to the end here, just thinking about, building this awesome life that you're talking about and kind of the downstream impact of that, right? One of my goals is to travel, explore the outdoors more, and just have fun along this journey, right? Obviously, grinding really hard, but there's some, hopefully, you get to see some payoffs as well. So I'd love to hear maybe an ultimate bucket list adventure you're thinking about working towards, or something you're looking to accomplish this year from like a fun perspective.
Yeah, so I have something that's more further down the line because so when my wife and I got married, we were able to take a trip to New Zealand, and we got to explore both the North Island and the South Island. We did some hiking, but at the time, I still did not know how to travel as efficiently as I wish I had known, or as I had, because realized that, man, I think we were at Lake Tekapo, where just like you look across the lake and you have like this mountain range, and then you have the clouds coming over, like just kind of disappearing through that little gap in the mountains, and it's just like it's fake scenery to you. The air is so clear, and all of your allergies and all the health issues that you have go away because there's just no pollution there. And so what I really want to do is I want to, when my kids get older, I'm going to condition them. I'm going to train them now. And we're going to get them to a point where they can go hiking through the South Island and not have them complain about, all these different things, right? Because I want to be able to see, we get to see everything from the ground level, but I want to see it from like the top of the mountain and see the southern lights and all that. So one of the biggest bucket list items on my list is taking the wife and kids back to New Zealand and just spending a month RVing in those urban RV things and just exploring that South Island.
That sounds like such a good trip. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. And especially like the return trip, with you and your wife having been there before and now taking kids, that just makes it so special.
Yeah, I mean, just I haven't seen any place that comes close to. Well, maybe the Canadian Rockies, but still, like being in New Zealand is completely different because there's nobody there. You don't have people ruining your view because they want to take social media pictures.
Selfies.
Yeah. And the people there, they're really nice and just chill.
Yeah, no, such a cool place. Well, that's awesome. And thank you so much for sharing that. So how can people get in touch with you if they have questions about lending, they want to lend with you, they want to hear a little bit more about your journey? What's the best way for people to get in touch?
Yeah, so if you're thinking about getting into lending, I really encourage you to do your research, learn how to do it properly, because you can very easily lose money if you don't have the paperwork set up properly or go through the right process. So reach out to me. I'm more than happy to give you a document that shows all the different security documents, as well as making sure you do it the right way. So reach out to me on Instagram at Jon Chan REI, JonChanREI, on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, John, for joining us today on this podcast from corporate to cash flow. We really appreciate you sharing your journey. It sounds like, man, there's going to be so many people that have a lot of similarities to what you've got going on, from going from accounting to rentals to now lending. And the journey has been incredible. And I really appreciate you sharing it with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thanks.